Good afternoon, everyone. How's everybody doing? This is quite an impromptu video, but I suddenly started going down this train of interest of thought that brought about by my reading recently. I went to go choke a little bit out by myself without my phone and just get lost in my thoughts and because The Dawn of Day is quite a profound book, to say the least, and the recent aphorisms that, and the content laid therein have caused quite a stir in my brain and me trying to deduce it. It's always great. It's like, you're reading a great book when deep in your subconscious, you're still working stuff out and you're just like out in the blue working or whatever the case may be, and some thought pops up in your head. It just shows greatness, to be quite honest with you. But so the thought was the contradiction in the statement or the definition of nature itself, right? So this is language and communication. All these things obviously rely on a common understanding of what we mean by certain words. There has to be an open, transparent communication. There can't be lack of communication because that causes problems. That causes, misinterpretation. That causes, all that sort of shit. And so I was thinking about stoicism first, for some reason, and I was talking and a sudden contradiction that I didn't think about before popped up in my head, and it's so obvious, and that's the definition of nature. How the word and the definition of nature gets switched depending on what point you are trying to make, and it just shows you the relativism and the self-interest laid in philosophies themselves. That's why one must question everything, right? So, and it's so like, let's take for example Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, right? He talks about nature, he talks about God, he talks about providence, he talks about, I don't know if he says that providence, but still, it's the same context, right? Like, to follow one's nature, to follow the flow of nature, is to be kind, to be gentle, to be exhibiting all these pacifist-like behaviors on a consistent basis. Be consciously aware that you are that way, like, there has to be a level of self-humiliation and self-castration in order for all of this to work, if you really think about it, right? So, but to be one with nature is to do all those things, right? It's to be kind, gentle, teamwork, all this stuff, humble. But then when we talk about our own inner nature, when the conversation turns to the other side, turns to the subject, the definition of nature changes, and everyone pretends like it didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this double thing going on. I don't know what it is. But then our nature is terrible. To be watchful of our instincts, to be watchful of what our passions want to do, to be in constant control. And it's like, okay, but that, it really doesn't make any sense. Like a second ago, you told me to follow my nature, and now you're telling me not to. Telling me to be watchful. Like, what's going on here? And it's a wonderful contradiction that no one really talks about. I honestly forgot how I was going to tie it. Oh yeah, but that's just stoicism. But at the same time, it can also make the claim about the soul, right? Like the eternal soul. And that's where Christianity comes into play, and that's where eternal damnation comes into play. One could make the case that the reason someone invented free will was so you could be guilty of your actions. Like saying that you played a part in whatever transgressions you laid before the morality, before the group, before the community. Because just like stoicism, to be good is to be beneficial to the community, right? Is to be productive for the community, not to be selfish, to be selfless, not to be Machiavellian, but to be honest and true and straightforward and never tell a lie and do all these wonderful, stupid things. But there is that disconnection, like, because when you look at the real world, when you look at the real outside, does nature really have those behaviors as its common morality, based on how many times it does it, right? Like, it's not kind. You know, when people talk about nature being one with nature in a serene, docile sort of way, it's a self-deception that is essential in order for that whole idea to work. Is because that's not what it is. Like, that sounds like a hedged off part of nature. Um, you know, a control variable of zoo, basically, not really nature. Because if you look at nature, there's nothing good about it. If you think about it, what is good about it? What is good about, you know, chicks that just were born getting snatched up by a leopard, never being able to live, or, and you know, people getting devoured? Nature is violent. Nature is a constant, new devouring the old, constant mistakes, constant deaths. It's just violence. It's just an advantage, a will to power, as Nietzsche talks about. It's not kind. There's nothing kind about it. I don't understand. But it is a lie, that universal lie that we all need to believe in order for all of this to work, right? In order for us to castrate ourselves enough to play the game. It's a wonderful realization that I just made. It's stupendous, really. Thank you, Nietzsche. I hope everyone reads him. Jesus fucking Christ. Whoa. I'm pretty proud of myself right now. Thank you to everyone who's listening, but your boy's having quite an epiphany. It's amazing. I can't wait to go continue to read him. Right now, he is talking about Christianity in general and morality and stuff like that. It's just really what was he talking about? Oh yeah, the passions. Yeah, that's what gave me the inspiration for this video. Give me one moment. I was reading about, like, you know, Christianity starts villainizing and making figures like Aphrodite and Essos, these gods of ideology, of what it is to be the feminine ideal and sex and all these other things, and to villainize it and make it evil. And the only way to do that is to have evil and malignanized to begin with. That's the only way that you could possibly ascribe those sort of characteristics to such a natural thing, right? Christianity really is a constant rejection of what is natural. And I feel like I finally figured out why they say you can't commit suicide because you'll go to hell. Because if you really think about it, like I might sound cynical, but it makes a whole lot of fucking sense. If you think about it, why wouldn't you kill yourself as soon as you become Christian? Right? Because what is the teachings of Christianity? That our world contained therein is an error because of our original sin, because of eating from the Garden of Eden. The world has been warped and twisted, so it's not the real world. So and Jesus just says, you know, like, all the values contained in this world don't mean anything. They don't make. It's all an error. You have to completely forego that in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. Why wouldn't you want to kill yourself? Because if you think about it, then being here is just a waste of time. Why are you going to continue to suffer needlessly if you have discovered the truth to perfection, and that is making it to heaven? And if you could just kill yourself to make it to heaven even quicker, then it's just a win. Why would you be an idiot and stay here? That's just my opinion. I may be oversimplifying the entirety of the religion, but if you want to break it down to the very root of it all, may sound cynical, but it makes sense. It's basically a death cult, but no one wants to talk about it. I'm glad I put this up because this is going to be awesome to rewatch. Yes, my own selfish interests are also actively thought of while I'm making this video. But there is a virtue to selfishness, to be quite honest with you. And at the end of the day, it is all self-interest. Like, most people maybe want to make you commit to the morality because it benefits them. It's not because it's the best for you. It's the most advantageous for them. So why play along if you can just create your own values to help you out? You know, and that may sound a little evil, but morality is evil itself. So I just wanted to bring up that contradiction. I'm still breaking down a lot of what I just read. It's quite a mind fuck. But yeah, he does talk about sex and villainizing it. But if you think about it, the suppression of these sexual passions transform and become and basically get sanctification of the religion or the morality by being called love. And that's why there's this constant emphasis on love being the answer to it all, which is quite interesting, really. What else? I honestly forgot right now. That'll be all for right now. I want to read a little bit more, write some stuff down. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Love y'all. Have a great day. May gains. Peace.